Shabbat Shalom, everybody. Rabbi Stephen here. This week's Torah commentary is Toldot, and this is basically take two. Understand that the first recording was an absolute disaster. I apologize. But as Groucho Marx said in the movie Animal Crackers, they're not all going to be gems. You got to expect that every once in a while. Anyway, so Toldot. Toldot in Hebrew means generations. And it is a very, very fitting name for this particular portion because it mentions Isaac, who is the next generation after Abraham. Abraham, of course, wanted to have a son with Sarah, the woman that he loved, the woman that who believed in the same principles of a one true God as he did. So naturally, their offspring would be the one to carry on not just the name, but also the tradition, the heritage, the culture, and yes, the religion. As you know, I get hesitant sometimes to refer to Judaism as a religion because for me, and of course I'm biased, it's just so much more than that. You know, it's a way of thinking about people and who they are. You know, the concepts that Abraham conceived that he, when he was communicating with God, however he did it, whether they were actual words, whether it was, as one of my students thought about, whether it was telepathy, whether it was just divine inspiration, it really doesn't matter. The vehicle really doesn't matter. The point is that Abraham got the message, and he and Sarah wanted to have a child, and they had a child in their old age, Ben Zakain, son of their old age. Abraham, one of his trials from Hashem was to go through the motions of almost sacrificing Isaac. And by the way, this created in Isaac a very, very righteous, a very sanctified, a very holy person because in a way he was an offering. He was as a person an offering. And it's very interesting how during Yom Kippur, what do? We fast. And there are other days when we fast, but when we're fasting, what are we doing? We're not eating, so we're burning off more fat. So in a way, we're making ourselves offerings. We're sanctifying ourselves as sort of a sacrifice, or part of ourselves as a sacrifice of sorts. So it's very interesting how that all comes together. So Isaac, and it starts out by saying this is the generation of Yitzhak ben Avraham, Isaac son of Abraham, and then it repeats it to emphasize the fact that not only was Isaac, Yitzhak, his physical son, but he was also his spiritual son, as opposed to Ishmael that didn't really quite get it. The way Yitzhak does, and my apologies to any Muslims that are listening. I understand that for you, Ishmael is the progenitor of Islam, and that's awesome. And of course, when Abraham circumcised Isaac when he was 8 days old as his Brit, as taking on the covenant, he also circumcised Ishmael at the age of 13. So that's why Muslims circumcise at 13 themselves, right, to follow Ishmael's lead. So basically, here's the story between Yitzhak and Rebekah. And let us just consider the fact that as Yitzhak was the bearer of this heritage of this what would become Judaism from Abraham, so did Yitzhak want to have a son himself that would also bear that particular responsibility or the covenant, however you want to look at it. So Rebekah, his wife, actually had two sons, both of them kind of struggling within her womb. Okay, that would become Esau and Jacob, Yakov. And it was said, the midrash is that, the folklore is that as she walked past a pagan temple or area of worship, then Esau in her womb would start to stir. As she walked by something that was more pure and holy, something that was righteous, then Jacob would stir. So as Hashem would have it, Esau came out first. He was therefore the firstborn. And Jacob followed him, holding onto his heel, hence the name Ekab. Yaakov was a play on the word Ekeb, which means heel. Ekeb also has some other implications. As far as heel, it's, what we refer to as a heel, someone who deceives someone. So years later, there's Jacob making a pot of lentil stew, and the midrash there is that this was the meal of consolation because Abraham had just died. So he was making that meal. Esau comes in from the hunt. He's famished. He's complaining to Jacob. Oh my gosh, I'm famished. Give me some of that soup. And of course, these two were actually, and they say this about fraternal twins, and they were fraternal twins, not identical, that they were kind of two sides of the same coin. Esau was the manly man, the burly man, the guy who hunted, who did macho type of things. And Isaac, Yitzhak, had sort of an affinity for him in that respect because, in a way, he was the man that Yitzhak wasn't. Yitzhak was more of a studious person. He was more involved in studying Torah. And yes, Torah's always existed. Okay, Moses got the written Torah. He got it written down for him, and he presented it to the Israelites as we saw in Exodus, Leviticus, and Numbers, and also Deuteronomy. But Torah, God's law, has also always been around since Hashem has been around, which is beyond eternity. So that was Yitzhak. Yaakov was more like Yitzhak. He was an Ish Tam, a simple man, a righteous man. He preferred to study. So he was the other. He was the intellect, whereas Esau was the physical. But as the physical, he really didn't have the moral capability the way Jacob has. I mean, here he comes in. He's a big, burly, strong man, a macho's man, a man's man, goes out and hunts and spends his time in the forest, shooting game that that Yitzhak liked to eat. And he's here saying that he's famished, he's going to die if he doesn't get something to eat. So Jacob thinks fast because he wanted the birthright. He appreciated the value of the covenant. He says to him, "Give me your birthright and I will give you the soup." And Esau, without even thinking, "Yes, of course, go ahead." So he sold his birthright for a pot of beans. So here's Jacob on his deathbed going through last rites. He wants to bless Esau, his son. He says, "Oh, go hunt me, so get me some game that I like and prepare it for me." Now, it's interesting to look at the way Yitzhak framed his request, okay? Because hunting is it's not something that Jews are supposed to do. Why? Because unless you're an absolute crack shot and you can kill the animal instantly with what you're doing, and I don't know that there's a lot of people that can do that each and every time, the animal suffers when it's killed, when it's shot with a bow or a bullet or whatever, okay? So that's why Jews don't really believe in hunting. I know there's some of you that like to hunt, and I don't want to hear, just do it if that's what you want to do. I don't want to hear about it, but this is what the official point of view of Judaism is. So Isaac tells him to go trap, kill, and then prepare. In other words, do it kosher. Do it kashrut. There wasn't any kosher yet, but like I said, there was still Torah. Yitzhak, even though the Torah had not been given to the Israelites, he still understood the need to be humane to animals when you kill them for food. So this was his instructions to Esau. Now, Rebekah took that opportunity to prepare Jacob to receive the blessings. All right, she had some time, put some fur on him, and said, "Here, you go get the birthright because really you're the one that ought to have it." So in a way, they tricked Isaac. Or did they? Isaac sent Esau on a mission, knew it was going to take some time. Rebekah had a chance to just absolutely kill one of their cattle, bashchita, immediately, it didn't feel any pain, and prepare it and give it to Jacob to pretend to be Esau, to give it to Yitzhak that he would think he's Esau and give him the blessing, right? So whether Yitzhak kind of knew this and was buying time, whether he didn't, who knows? A lot of people say Rebekah was wrong to do this, but then again, Jacob bought, or Esau gave him the birthright for a pot of lentils. It was a fair deal. He knew what he was doing, right? They were both adults, or pretty close to it when it happened. So he gave away his birthright. He should have had it, right? So to assign any type of blame or deception to Rebekah, she was just following through, okay? And this has been my thing. I don't understand how these people are patriarchs, and they would go about deceiving. Right? They knew what they needed to do, and they did it. All the tumblers fell into place. Some of you may say, "Why didn't Hashem just have Jacob come out first, and we could have avoided the whole thing?" Okay. Why didn't he allow Abraham and Sarah to have a kid right off the bat? Why did he put this struggle with Rebekah and Yitzhak where they had to go through the motions? Because Hashem gives us challenges. That's how we grow. If there weren't any challenges, and I know some of us think, at the end of the day, gosh, wouldn't it be great if life was so easy? It's not. That's how we grow. That's the purpose of life, to act out the role. We're all part of Hashem. Hashem created us, made us in His image. So we go through the motions of doing these things to establish Hashem's laws and Torah on earth. That's what our mission. Yes, Jews have a mission. We're not evangelical. We don't go around preaching fire and brimstones if you don't accept the word of Hashem. But our goal, our role, is to have people be good to each other, to respect each other. That's the purpose. So Rivka knew that Yaakov should have the birthright. He was entitled to it. He had the personality and the character for it. So she set it up. Isaac blesses Yaakov, gives him the blessing. Esau follows. Isaac realizes that he gave it to Jacob and not him. Esau's like, do you have any blessings for me? And Esau says yes. Yaakov says yes, gives him some blessings, but it wasn't. Created some sibling rivalry between Esau and Jacob, which is continued in the next portion. Sorry for the bad recording. Hope this is better. Hope you liked it. Look forward to seeing you in temple. Friday, we've got a family service. The kids will be taking over. They'll be playing instruments. Going to be a lot of fun. Hope to see you there. Shabbat Shalom.